going on, friends? Welcome back to the Honeystead. If you are new here, my name is Kaylee and I am a herbalist as well as a beekeeper and a homemaker, and do a little bit of everything here on our homestead in Virginia. Now today we are up in the apothecary. It is gross and rainy, and I was not going to try to ruin my camera by taking you guys to the garden and showing you some of the plans that I actually have. So we're going to save that for a later date. As of right now, it's probably going to be a little bit more of a later date because I think we're getting ready to get hit with a massive snowstorm. But that's okay. Sometimes those snowstorms are actually really good. You know, sometimes that getting cozy and snuggling up and forcing myself to stay inside can be really productive. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be starting some of our seeds indoor probably when the snow hits. So here in the next few videos, expect to be starting some medicinal seeds with me because we have got quite a bit of a medicinal garden that we are planting this year, along with our food and other things, because you know, food is part of our medicine, and that is what we really need to truly heal. Our foundation is good food, good mindset, of course gratitude. The herbs are wonderful, and the other thing that brings me joy is of course my honeybees. But when it warms up, expect to be in there with me because I can't wait to tell you about those beautiful girls. But today I have a few products that I need to make, one of which is a really good salve for my hands because it has been kind of cold and kind of dry, and I am in need for a good salve made from some of our beeswax. Now I brought a frame, which I'm excited to share. Let me go get it. I have a frame of honey, but I do think it's important to kind of talk about the beauty of how honeybees actually make their own wax. And of course we do get to benefit from it. I do get to benefit from it. And that's something that I truly love. But this right here is a frame of honey, capped honey, and you're gonna see all of this that's covering it. That is all wax. And when you're inside a colony, you can kind of see like the different colorations. This beautiful pale white wax, this is freshly capped. Now, of course, I harvested this last year. When we go to uncap this frame of honey, I save all of those cappings. I'll render them down, and then I will put them in special molds to either make little 1 ounce bars of beeswax, which I found this is extremely helpful doing it in this way versus a massive chunk because if you need to break off a piece of it, you might as well like saw it. So I found that pouring it off in like the 1 ounce wax little molds makes it a lot easier, especially when I'm making our salves. I'm gonna use this little bumblebee jasper honeybee to kind of share where actually I might have a picture of it. I think I'm gonna pull up a picture. But honeybees make their wax when they are about 12 to 18 days old. They have special glands that are underneath, right? Oh, gosh. Special glands that are underneath right here where they secrete a liquid, like a liquid wax, and it's beautiful. It's white. It is like pure. And then as soon as it hits the air, that liquid wax turns to a flake. And then after that, they basically will take it and they will pass it off, and that's what they use to manipulate and form the hexagon to make the cell, which is another whole thing that I'm completely just blown away with because the hexagon is the strongest structure that is made, and it also takes the least amount of material to form that shape. So I think that that is pretty amazing. So as a beekeeper, I really do value all of their hard work between making their comb, making their honey, making their bee bread from pollen that they get. Also, propolis is another big one. And I will share, if you have been with me for a little while, you probably already know this, but to the new people, I do have a book that's going to be coming out. I believe as of now, April, we're going to start having the pre-order sales where I'm combining herbalism as well as all of the wonderful medicinal properties that honeybees offer. And that's a project that I've been working on for a little while. In fact, I'm getting ready to submit my first round of edits here in the next like 2 days. So I'll probably be able to film a few more videos throughout the week, which is why I've kind of only gone down to one video for right now. But don't worry, like I'll be back. We've got a lot of big projects in the works and I can't wait to kind of continue to take you guys along with me. Now, when it comes to honeybees, they are extremely hygienic. You know, they want to keep their colony as clean as possible. And because they're also, you know, using the plants that are actually keeping their colonies healthy in a resinous form, when it comes to a substance called propolis, propolis, honey, beeswax, all of their properties that they offer have antimicrobial benefits for your skin, which is why I love a good raw beeswax salve, especially this time of year when your skin gets really cracked and dry, and you know, if it's irritated, like this is so soothing for, you know, for cuts, for scrapes, rashes, all of that. But because I'm an herbalist, I love to pair it with different herbs, because to me, I think the beauty of combining the rawness of the herbs with the rawness of the wax is really going to be extremely beneficial for your skin. Now, today we're gonna make a salve using the cottonwood buds that we have. Now, the cottonwood buds, you harvest them kind of like super early spring, so I haven't noticed them starting yet. But before spring, so here in like the next probably couple of weeks, we'll be able to harvest more. This is the last little bit that I have. But the buds secrete this really resinous, kind of greasy, like resinous sticky material. And so what I do is I put it in a jar and I infuse it in whatever oil. This is cold pressed olive oil, but you can use jojoba oil. You can use pretty much anything that you would prefer. I just use cold pressed olive oil because it's something that we actually have, you know, on hand. Now, what I try to do is wait until a windstorm comes and knocks down a branch, and then we're able to actually pull all the buds off of it before they start to really open. But I do love the cottonwood, and this is so, oh, it smells so good. It's also known as the Balm of Gilead, but it has like this rich red resinous, oh no, resinous color. So when it's blended in with this beautiful beeswax, it creates a very luxurious salve. Now, I use the salve multiple different ways, but let's go ahead and set this up because it's going to take a couple of minutes. And while it is doing its thing, I'll tell you all about the medicinal properties that this lovely resinous buds offer. This is too pretty not to get a close up. So I have my tray because you guys know I make a mess and I'm not afraid to like admit that I am like probably the messiest herbalist, which I know I'm not alone. Listen, we all make messes. I just choose not to edit them out because I am no better than anybody else. So that being said, I have a tray just in case if I do spill some, I can at least salvage it. And then I have a beaker. You can use a measuring cup with a pour spout, and then a sieve. I am gonna get a little piece of cheesecloth though, which is going to help make it a little easier to strain out any of the bits. But it's really, you know what, I think we're fine. I'm not gonna waste the cheesecloth because these are pretty solid. So let's get you guys dialed in. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love the way that this cottonwood just pulls such a rich, luxurious color. But if you were worried about any little bits, put a little bit of cheesecloth down. And I think I'm gonna be able to get a little bit more out. I'm really just looking for, let's see. I'll let that sit for a second and then go check my double boiler really quick. We got about 250 milliliters of this oil. And I'm sure there's still a good bit in there. And in fact, it still smells pretty good. I might actually go ahead and put a little bit more oil in this and let it pull out more of the resin, because I think I'd rather try to give it a shot and see if I can get a little bit more and let it sit for just a little bit longer. But my ratio for salves that I prefer, and there are so many, but I like a good mix between soft and creamy and hard from the beeswax. So what I found is equal parts. 1 ounce of beeswax to 1 cup of oil, and then you mix the two together, and it does harden, but not to the point where it's like you have to really rub hard to get a little bit of the salve, but not soft enough to where when you dip your finger in it, it like mushes it. So that is my ratio that I prefer, but again, you guys can modify this depending on whatever. I just think it's a lot easier and I don't have to think about it, you know, like it's 1-to-1. Keep it simple and don't overcomplicate it, because sometimes you can, and I think the beeswax is pretty much rendered down. So let's go reduce the heat, because again, we don't want to cook this because this has, you know, some awesome stuff in it. So we're going to reduce the heat, and this is my favorite part. So come on. Without fogging up my camera, it is all melted down. I turned the heat all the way off. This is my favorite part. When you combine it, the cold oil, and then you take your chopstick and you just start mixing it just enough. I might have to turn the heat to low, but I wanted to get it off of that main boil. And in your double boiler, you're just gonna keep mixing until it starts to solidify. If you were to add in essential oil, this is when you would do it. Not directly onto the heat. You don't want to cook that essential oil off. And same thing for like the vitamin E oil. However, I don't. I keep it simple. For this one, I think it smells amazing. And I don't actually think that I need to add any essential oil. This salve just smells, I mean, it's extremely luxurious. All right, now this is where I'm probably gonna make a mess. I do really like this double boiler. I purchased it from a flea market for, I think it was either like $12 or $15. And it's Pyrex, but the only thing that I don't like is it doesn't have a pour spout. So I got a tea towel that is adorable. And so I got my tea towel and I have my little amber thing. So let's, this is a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna talk. I've learned that if I try to talk while I'm doing this, it's just bad. So let me just we're gonna just concentrate, and I'm gonna think that I'm not gonna make a mess, and we're gonna be gentle. Nope, I think this is not gonna work. This is the first time I've made made the salve in this, so I think I'm gonna actually go back to my beaker because the way that the oil is pooling, I love this. It's not gonna work the way I want it to work. So let's go back to this. And just, I think that's gonna be good. Look how gorgeous that is. And then this is what I'm gonna use to pour in these cute little amber jars. And I'm doing 2 because one is gonna be for me, and then one is gonna be for my mama. And we just divvy it up because we're gonna have enough. Since I have a little extra, I'm gonna take a travel size with me that I can fit in my purse. I'm gonna let these sit until tomorrow and completely cool down before I go ahead and cover them with their lids. Now, I will put on the label, what is it? It is a Balm of Gilead salve mixed with beeswax, whatever, however you wanna put it, whatever name you wanna call it. This salve is gonna be super soothing to the skin. The other thing I love about it is it does help with like muscle pain. So, you know, that cold, achy feeling that you sometimes get in your hand this time of year. This is definitely my go-to. I've also played around with mixing it with plantain, which is another lovely herb that is really wonderful for mending the tissues, just like this. And then St. John's wort is another plant, another beautiful little flower that I love to mix in with many of my salves, which is also really good for pain and discomfort in the muscle. But I very much, I mean, I love being able to grab the things that we have growing outside and then mixing it with the beeswax from our beautiful girls to make something that, I mean, this is gonna last me a good little while. I've got a travel one, I've got one for me and one for my mom and dad and my grandma. And as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.